Welcome once again. Today we are going to look at lecture 2 of Introduction to Nutrition. Previously we had covered the concept of food and nutrition. We defined food, we defined nutrition, and we linked the two to our health. And we also talked about the recommended dietary intakes, and we also had the concept of meal planning. So today we are going to continue from the My Plate as one of the resources that are used by nutritionists and dietitians to determine a healthy diet. The My Plate is a visual guide created by the United States Department of Agriculture, USDA, to help individuals understand the importance of a balanced diet and the proper proportions of different food groups to include on their plate. According to the My Plate, your plate should consist of 4 sections. Each of those sections should have a different food group in different proportions. For example, half of your plate should have fruits. The other half should consist of vegetables, and then the other half should consist of whole grains, and the last half should include a variety of protein foods. It focuses on the basic food groups that provide us with essential nutrients, carbohydrates, proteins, fats, and fiber. On top of the 4 sections, we also have diary as a reminder for us in the My Plate. It's a separate section that instructs us to have at least a glass of milk or a serving of yogurt on our diet. So this is basically how the My Plate looks like. As you can see, this plate is very beautiful. One half has fruits, the other half has vegetables. In other words, we say one half of your plate should consist of fruits and vegetables in equal proportions. And then the other half should consist of whole grains and proteins in the same proportions. And then aside, you should have at least a glass of milk or yogurt. Then we also have the My Healthy Plate, which is a bit different from the My Plate because it has more recommendations and there are more sections that are included. The My Healthy Plate is an easy to understand visual guide designed by the Health Promotion Board. Remember that My Plate was designed by the USDA, the US Department of Agriculture, but the My Healthy Plate is designed by the Health Promotion Board. And it helps you to adopt healthier eating habits, which in turn can help you better manage your weight and ward off chronic diseases such as diabetes, hypertension, and heart disease. The My Healthy Plate is quite beautiful. It also has almost the same recommendations as the My Plate, as one half of the plate has to consist of fruits and vegetables, and the other half should have whole grains and healthy proteins. Aside from the 4 sections and the diary that is in the My Plate, the My Healthy Plate also recommends that one should eat healthy oils as part of their daily meals, and one should also consume adequate water. And again, an individual has to remain active. As you consume a healthy diet, you also have to make sure you exercise so that any excess in your body is used during exercise and you prevent overweight and obesity and other chronic diseases. So let's look at the My Healthy Eating Plate in detail. According to the My Healthy Plate, the more vegetables and the greater the variety, the better for you. Remember, potatoes and French fries do not count as vegetables because they have an aspect of a lot of empty calories that they bring to the body that are not necessary. And the other half is fruits. You should make sure that you eat plenty of fruits of all colors. Remember, the greater the color, the better for you. And we also have a half of your plate consisting of whole grains. The My Healthy Eating Plate recommends that you eat a variety of whole grains, for example, whole wheat bread, whole grain pasta, and brown rice. And it recommends that you limit refined grains, for example, white rice and white bread. And then the other half of your plate should also have healthy proteins. You have to choose from fish, poultry, beans, and nuts. And you have to limit red meat and cheese. Avoid bacon, cold nuts, cold cuts, and other processed meats. Now, those are the 4 major sections of the My Healthy Eating Plate. And outside of the cycle, we have water as one of the daily reminders. You're supposed to drink water, tea, or coffee with little or no sugar. And you have to limit milk or dairy to 1 to 2 servings per day, and juice to 1 small glass per day. We are trying to limit the amount of juice you take because usually the juices have added sugars, and this added sugar is not very healthy to our body. And we also have a section for healthy oils outside. You have to use healthy oils to make your meals. If you're frying your poultry, your chicken, or you're frying your vegetables, you have to make sure that you use healthy oils to do that. For example, olive and canola oil for cooking. And also when you make vegetable salads, you can add some oil which is healthy like olive or canola. And you have to make sure that you limit butter because it consists of trans and saturated fats, which again are not healthy for our body. And then, aside from all the rest we've talked about, we are reminded to remain active, stay active, exercise. At least have some vigorous intensity physical exercises twice a week to help you remain healthy. So how do we build a healthy and balanced diet? We already talked about the different components of My Healthy Eating Plate, which is the one that is helping us to build a healthy and balanced diet. We made sure that as we consume our fruits and vegetables, we have to emphasize color. We have to aim for color and variety. Do not eat only one kind of fruit or one kind of vegetable. You have to balance. If today you've eaten, maybe you've eaten cabbage, tomorrow you eat another green. So what are the main messages of the Healthy Eating Plate? According to the Healthy Eating Plate, we are focusing mainly on diet quality and not quantity. We want you to consume a quality diet that consists of all the major nutrients and the minor nutrients that you need to help you function well. The type of carbohydrate in the diet is more important than the amount of carbohydrate in the diet. When you choose healthy carbohydrates, like vegetables, apart from potatoes, remember we said that potatoes have a lot of empty calories. You may consume a lot of carbohydrates in form of potatoes, but it's not quality because it is going to give you a lot of calories, but less of other things like the fiber that you need from it. Fruits, you have to make sure you emphasize the whole grains and then the beans. They're also healthier than other sources. The consumer should also avoid sugary beverages, which is a major source of calories that have little nutritional value according to the American diet. The Healthy Eating Plate also encourages consumers to use healthy oils, and it does not set a maximum on the percentage of calories people should get each day from the healthy sources of fat. So I have a question for you here. My plate or my healthy plate? Which one would you prefer? We are going to look at some of the differences between the My Plate and the My Healthy Plate. And then from these two, you're going to see which one is better. The healthy eating plate recommends the opposite of the low fat message promoted for decades by the USDA My Plate. While the healthy eating plate encourages consumers to choose whole grains and limit refined grains, since whole grains are much better for health, the My Plate does not tell consumers that whole grains are better for health. It just generalizes that you should have whole grains. The healthy eating plate also encourages consumers to choose fish, poultry, beans or nuts, protein sources that contain other healthful nutrients, and also encourages individuals to limit red meat and avoid processed meats. This is because even if you consume meat in small quantities on a regular basis, it will raise the risk of heart disease, diabetes, colon cancer, and weight gain. These are concepts that have deeper content that needs to be understood. And so, for you to better understand these concepts, you need to go further and research and find out, why do they say this? Why is this recommended and why is this discouraged? Now, while the My Plate emphasizes that just consume proteins, any kind of proteins you desire, you can consume according to the My Plate. You can have a hamburger or a hot dog. It offers no indication that some high protein foods are healthier than others, or that red and processed meats are especially harmful to health. It just gives you a general recommendation that you should have half of your plate consisting of protein. The My Healthy Eating Plate encourages an abundant variety of vegetables, whereas the My Plate does not distinguish between potatoes and other vegetables. Remember, we said, according to My Healthy Eating Plate, potatoes and French fries are not going to be part of your vegetables because of the high calorie levels they contain. The Healthy Eating Plate also puts fruits on the bottom beneath vegetables because we do not need as much fruit each day as vegetables. But the My Plate puts fruits on top of vegetables, though it does show a smaller proportion of fruit than vegetables. The Healthy Eating Plate depicts a bottle of healthy oil and encourages consumers to use olive, canola, and other plant oils in cooking, on salads and at the table. However, the My Plate is silent on fats, which could steer consumers towards the type of low fat, the high carbohydrate diet that makes it harder to control weight and also worsens blood cholesterol profiles. Because if you're not selective of the kind of fats you take in, you're going to find yourself consuming all sorts, including the trans and saturated fats that are particularly not very good for your body because they will raise your cholesterol levels and increase your risk of heart disease and other chronic sicknesses. The Healthy Eating Plate also encourages consumers to drink water since it's naturally calorie-free, or to try coffee and tea with little or no sugar. This is also a great calorie-free alternative and goes ahead to recommend limiting of milk and dairy to 1 to 2 servings per day. Whereas the My Plate recommends dairy at every meal, even though there is little, if any, evidence that high dairy intakes protect against osteoporosis. And there is also considerable evidence that too high intakes can be harmful. But still, the My Plate did not specify. It recommended that you take at least a glass of dairy per meal, which is also not very healthy. According to the My Healthy Eating Plate, staying active is half of the secret to weight control, and the other half is eating a healthy diet with modest portions that meet your calorie needs. However, the My Plate does not talk about staying active. So is it My Plate or My Health Plate? That is a question for you to answer. You choose what is better. You weigh the benefits. But according to my analysis, the My Healthy Plate could be a better option because it emphasizes everything. It's all round. It talks about exercise, it talks about water consumption, it talks about healthy oils. Yeah, it gives you what you're supposed to take in moderate amounts, and it also gives you what you're supposed to limit. So we also have a concept of cooking and its effect on food. How does cooking food affect the quality of the nutrients in the particular food item? Different cooking methods can affect the texture, the taste and appearance of food, as well as its nutrient content. We can all bear witness to this. If you consume a food item raw, it is better compared to when you cook. But also not always the same case, because some foods contain more nutrients when cooked than others when not cooked. When we are cooking our food, we always use heat, and this heat has different levels of destruction of nutrients. For example, heat can cause the destruction of certain vitamins, such as vitamin C and B, as well as the enzymes in these foods. So, to be able to minimize the effect of the heat on the nutrients and the vitamins, it's better to use cooking methods that involve less heat, such as steaming or cooking foods in a pressure cooker. How about boiling? Boiling causes the leaching of water-soluble vitamins and minerals, such as vitamin C and folate. And how do you minimize this? You can minimize this by using less water, by cooking food for a shorter time, or consuming the cooking water. Most of us cut fruits or we cut vegetables and we pour out the water after washing. It's not right. Because when you wash these vegetables after cutting, there is a larger surface area over which they lose nutrients. And all those nutrients are leached into the water you have washed in. When you pour out that water, then it means you have lost those nutrients. You lose about 50% of all the nutrients by washing. So it is always better for you to wash before you cut. And after cutting and boiling, if you have too much soup, instead of pouring out that soup, you can use it on another meal. Grilling and roasting or broiling. All these cause the formation of harmful compounds such as polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons and heterocyclic amines when the food is cooked at high temperatures. So you can also minimize this by marinating the food before grilling and removing the burnt parts of the food after grilling or roasting. While cooking can cause loss of nutrients in food, cooking can also have beneficial effects on food. For example, cooking makes certain foods more palatable and easy to digest. Eating a raw piece of cassava or potato is not better than eating the cooked. It's better you take in the cooked one, which will be more easily digested than the raw. It also helps to kill harmful bacteria and parasites, making food safer to eat. Cooking makes certain nutrients more bioavailable, such as lycopene in tomatoes, that are more available when they are cooked. When you're cooking, you have to make sure that you use a combination of cooking methods and limit the amount of heat and cooking time so that you're able to preserve most of the nutrients. Always use healthy cooking methods, for example, baking, boiling, steaming, and sauteing instead of frying or deep frying to prevent the formation of harmful compounds. Food processing. What is food processing? Food processing refers to the set of methods and techniques used to transform raw ingredients into food products that are safe to eat and have a longer shelf life. Some of the examples we have are heating, freezing, drying, canning, and packaging. What is canning? Canning is a method that involves heating food to high temperatures to kill bacteria and sealing it in an airtight container to prevent recontamination. Freezing is a method food preservation that works by slowing down the activity of enzymes and microorganisms that cause spoilage. Drying basically removes moisture from food, and also this slows down the growth of microorganisms and allows for long-term storage. Pasteurization involves heating food to a high temperature for a short period of time to kill harmful bacteria. So what are the effects of food processing on various nutrients? Preservation, for example, canning, freezing, and drying, all these are forms of food preservation. They can help food to stay longer, making it more accessible to people all year round. And this also ensures a steady supply of nutrient-dense foods, such as fruits and vegetables, even when they are not in season. Then enrichment. Fortified cereals and breads are enriched with vitamins and minerals that may be lost during processing. Some food processing methods can add nutrients to food, for example, iron, iodine, and vitamin D, and this helps to meet the nutritional needs of specific populations. And also food processing methods such as pasteurization and canning can kill harmful bacteria and parasites, making food safer to eat. Convenience. When you process some kinds of foods, it makes it more convenient for people to consume. Packaged and canned foods can be stored for a long period of time, and anytime you need to consume that food, you just pick and eat. And it helps you to minimize the long process of meal planning, having to go and access that food item, you prepare it, you cook, and then now you eat. But now if the food is already processed, it's easier for you to just pick and eat at any time. Note, not all processed foods are nutritionally equal. You have to always check the nutrition label and ingredients list when purchasing processed foods. Whole foods are generally more nutritious than processed foods, but some forms of processing can actually improve the nutritional value of food. So you have to keep all these factors in mind when you are consuming processed foods. What are the negative effects of food processing? We already talked about nutrient loss, for example, vitamins and minerals. Freezing and canning can cause the loss of vitamin C, while boiling can cause the loss of water-soluble vitamins, like the B vitamins and folate. Addition of harmful substances to the food. As you process the food item, they usually add some other ingredients. They add sugar, sodium, and preservatives. These ones can cause and contribute to chronic health conditions, for example, obesity, diabetes, and heart disease if consumed in excess. While we talk about fortification as one of the good ways of enriching our nutrients, it may not always provide the same nutrients found in the natural food. And this also sometimes interfere with the absorption of other nutrients. Processing also reduces the fiber content in food. Remember, we said that fiber is very important for digestion. And when you process food, you remove the outer layers of the fruits, the vegetables, and even the whole grains. This basically reduces the fiber content. We also have the loss of flavor and texture, which makes it less appealing and satisfying to eat. Some foods are better eaten raw. They are more palatable when eaten raw compared to when they are processed. And we also have unintended contamination that may occur during the process of food processing. You have to always be aware of the nutritional value of processed foods and limit the consumption of highly processed foods that tend to be high in added sugars, sodium, and unhealthy fats. What about the economic effects of food processing? Food processing can be good in terms of food value and nutrient content, but also it can be good in terms of the economy. For example, food processing can create jobs in the food manufacturing industry, which can also help to boost local economies. The more jobs, the better standards of living. Food processing also increases the shelf life of food, which can reduce food waste and lower the costs for both the producers and consumers. Food processing makes food more affordable and accessible to people all around the year. And it's also important to people living in areas that lack access to certain types of fresh food. It also increases the export potential of a country by making it possible to sell food products to other countries. Some foods get spoiled along the way when they're being transported to other countries. But if they are processed and preserved, then they will take longer, and then it will make it easier for them to be exported to other countries. And this will increase the economic potential of the country. We also have negative effects of food processing. While positively it can create jobs, it can also lead to loss of jobs in the farming and agriculture industry because more food is produced in the factories rather than on the farms. Use of harmful chemicals and additives that can be detrimental to human health and environment. This is a negative effect. Then the loss of traditional food production methods and cultural practices, which can erode the cultural identity of a community. Food processing can also increase in the cost of food due to the cost of processing, packaging, and transportation. So it is better for you to get that food from the farm than get it from the factory. Because in the factory, they're going to add on all the costs for transport, packaging, and processing. And this will make the good more expensive. Food processing also increases dependence on other countries for food products, as well as lack of control over food supply. In conclusion, food processing can be done in a sustainable and responsible way by using sustainable sources of ingredients, reducing food waste, using environmentally friendly packaging, and developing food safety measures to minimize the risks for the consumers. It is good to process food, yes, because it increases the shelf life, it increases the accessibility of the food items, yeah, it makes even some of the nutrients more available for consumption all through the year. Even when some foods are not in season, you can consume them. But as you process your food, you have to make sure you do it in a sustainable and responsible way through the ways that we have listed here. You have to make sure that you minimize the food wastage. You have to use sustainable sources of ingredients that you can always acquire. And the packaging should also be environmentally friendly because some packages cannot be destroyed, and this causes a lot of pollution to our land. Thank you very much.